So recently I got to speak with Steven Spohn from the AbleGamers charity. And the charity helps disabled people play video games by providing them with all different aids and technology. In this video, Steven talks about the technology that's available for disabled people to play video games, as well as how he plays video games with his disability, SMA. If you would like to donate to the AbleGamers charity, the link will be in the description. You can do that on the website, as well as all the technology and things we talk about in this video. They will all be down in the description as well. I'd like to thank Steve for letting me chat to him. It was a really interesting chat, and I hope you get some value out of it, because I definitely did. But yeah, make sure you do check out the description, like I say, because there'll be all sorts of links there to like their social media and the website and all the different technology that we talk about in the video. But other than that, if you did enjoy the video, make sure you do subscribe to this channel as always, and I'll see you later.
And it basically makes me where I can't move my arms or legs or really anything but my head. And that has affected pretty much everything in my life.
So in terms of games, how have you got around that? Like, because you said you can't move your arms or anything.
Right.
So how have you got around that when playing games?
It's not always easy. When you have a limited amount that you can move around, you have to use technology to make up the difference, right? So I've got some really cool gadgets that allow me to move my head around in different directions to push keyboard buttons. And then I use a really fast mouse to be able to click anywhere on the screen I need to.
That's quality. That's really cool. So how is that like, are options implemented into the games already for you to be able to do that, or do you have to like put make a software to put them options in so you can use that technology? Like, how does that work?
Well, fortunately, the software that I use called Track IR is available to anyone. You can go onto Google and look that up and buy one for yourself. It's just a little clip that you put onto a hat that you put on your head, and then that allows you to push keyboard buttons. And it works in any of the games that you would want to play today. So there's no like special software. There's nothing you need specially. You can just play it right now.
That's really cool.
Yeah, right.
That's quality. So the developers don't actually have to do anything, right?
No.
That's really cool. And how long has that software been around?
I've been using it for about 5 years now. It's been around for a while. Actually, it started out as software for players who wanted to play Microsoft Flight Simulator. You know, the game where you just jump into an airplane and you look around?
Yeah, that's a cool game.
Yeah, it is a really cool game. But it was originally intended so you could look around like down below and look on the ground and stuff. And some really smart people took a hold of it and decided that you could use the same thing to push keyboard buttons, and ended up being great. Yeah.
That's quality.
Yeah, very cool.
What's it called? I put down. I mean, I didn't realize this software existed, but
yeah.
I put down what in terms of like people who are obviously you got things like button remapping and things, which is a help, because I know myself, like because I play mainly computer games, like I couldn't use WASD like an able-bodied person could.
Yeah.
So I'll remap it so I use the arrow keys, because the way my hands are, I find it difficult. But so there's things like that, which is quite basic, and everybody should have that really. But like in terms of other things, what sorts of things have you started to see where developers are what sort of things are developers putting into games now that will cater towards disabled people?
Yeah, we've had a lot of luck reaching out to various studios and having developers come to us with their games that they're making, and putting in options for people with disabilities, like closed captioning for deaf and hard of hearing people, visual cues, audio cues for the blind community. We've had a lot of luck putting in various options in the games themselves. And now you've got places like Microsoft that are doing things like the Xbox adaptive controller, which is going to be, great, right? It's going to help lots of people because Microsoft is coming out with this thing that's only $100, and that's phenomenally cheap. So we've seen a lot of movement. We've been doing this for nearly 15 years now, and I can tell you, back in 2003, 2005, there was a lot of resistance to helping people in our situation who needed, an extra hand to get up and play games. And it's really nice to see the industry coming around now and helping us out.
So I guess we'll get into some questions about AbleGamers.
Yeah, sure.
So, what exactly do AbleGamers do?
So, AbleGamers is a charity here in America that allows people with disabilities to come to us and request grants for technology. So, if you need a specialized gaming controller, or you need some buttons on your controller moved, or you need a sip and puff or an eye gaze controller, whatever you need, our organization will buy it for you if you have financial need, and help you set it up, get you gaming again, and then make sure that you're happy with what you've got. And we also go into hospitals and we create gaming rooms where we go in with, say, like $10,000 worth of stuff, like we just did to the New Orleans Children's Hospital, where we brought them all kinds of Xbox gaming equipment, and now the children of New Orleans are able to play games when we're not there. So, yeah.
Why was AbleGamers started? And I guess that kind of ties into the other one, but...
yeah.
Go.
It started. So AbleGamers started 13 years ago. We became a non-profit organization, but we were just a little tiny EverQuest blog, which was a game back in the day that we were just trying to reach out to the disability community. The founder had a very dear friend who was attacked by multiple sclerosis, and she couldn't game anymore. And he went to find information on how you could continue playing games with a disability, and there was no information out there. So he wanted to make a website where you could come and find out more information, and then more people started coming to us asking for help, and more people wanted game reviews, and before you knew it, we turned into this organization.
Like, what benefits do you think a disabled person playing games, what benefits do you think games give them?
Oh, I think it opens up a whole new world that you might not otherwise get to partake in. So my favorite story is about my little buddy Zane. I'm sure in your research you came across him. He's on the front of our website. So when expansion packs got started, we talked about earlier, I took the equipment that was for Zane into the hospital, and we set him up, and everything was great for Zane. But I found that there was other people in there, including his brother, who were in the facility, and I wasn't there to help them. I was only there to help Zane, and I felt really, really bad about it. But when I went there, I realized that we needed to help everybody. And so I came back, talked to our leadership. We all agreed to go help the hospital in general, and that's when the expansion packs were born. But the reason that they were born was because of that. But what had happened was we went there afterwards. We got them both playing on Forza, on the racing game, and what we did, both brothers have muscular dystrophy. They can't speak. They are non-ambulatory. They're non-verbal. They can't really interact other than being in the same room, right, and watching a monitor or a TV screen. Yeah. But as soon as we allowed them both to be in the same game, one brother takes off in his car and rams into the side of the other brother, sending him spiraling across the board. Because of course he did. They're brothers. That's what they do, right?
Yeah.
And and that for me was sort of the this is it. We're not just playing games. We're allowing people to connect to each other and have fun like they should.
is there a specific company at the moment that you see that are doing a lot for disabled people in terms of like gaming companies?
Yeah, Xbox is kicking butt right now. Not only with the controller that we help them make, but also they're very willing to listen to us about various adaptions that need to be made. We worked with both Xbox and PlayStation a couple of years ago, so that we could have system-wide remapping. So now you can go into the accessibility part of your Xbox console and you can just change a button to be a different button. And that was huge because we used to have to fight with game developers to do that.
Yeah.
Now we don't. But also, you have companies out there that are really trying to help us, really supporting us, like Paradox, who are, great people. You have HyperX, who support us. You have Humble Bundle, who has been fantastic with, reaching out to developers with us, with supporting financially. All of those additives sort of add up to being able to complete our mission. And I have to say, more often than not, indie developers are fantastic. You reach out to somebody who has only, done 1 or 2 games, and you say, hey, we need, this adaptation. They're more than willing usually to do it. Recently, a game called Raft came out, and you literally sit on a raft and you make a raft, and that's all you do. But it got like a lot of success. Like tens of thousands of people bought this game and they thought it was great. And I went to log into it and I realized I couldn't play it because the mouse didn't let you move the mouse fast enough. They had it capped where you could only move it so fast. Mm-hmm. So I tweeted them and said, hey, it'd be cool if you'd make this able to go faster because I can't play it and you're not hurting anything if you let the mouse be faster. Just let me turn the options up. And they were like, just tweeted back like, hey, yeah, we can do that in a future patch. And I was like, oh, great. It'll be 7 years from today. The next day, they patched it. So, this was a game that was making hundreds of thousands of dollars on Steam, but they still were like, they saw this tweet. I don't know how much investigation they did if they realized who I was, but, they made this change on a very simple request. And I think developers like that are the cool ones.
Yeah. Like, because obviously there's so many, like, different buttons on a keyboard for PUBG. So, like, you've got shoot, aim, run, jump. How do you, with that technology, how does that work? How do you, like, you get what I'm saying?
Well, the really weird thing about video games is we all think about how many buttons we need, right? And you open up the legend on these games and they show you a gigantic keyboard and everything's labeled and everything does something different. Yeah. But you actually don't need that many buttons to play most games. Most games you can boil them down to 5 to 8 different buttons. That's all you need. Like in Fortnite and PUBG, I only walk forward. I don't walk sideways or backwards. I only walk forward. Yeah. And you can still play like that because you can spin around in place and you can move forward. Yeah. You can map on the tracking device I use. You can map more than one button per direction you look. So, if I look to the right in PUBG, it makes me open a door, but it also makes me run. So, depending on what I'm doing, I just look to the right, and that's what it does. You start figuring out, well, what buttons can I stack together, and they won't interfere with each other. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, if you're next to, I'm trying to understand. So if you're next to a door, yeah, and you look right, will it open the door?
It'll open the door, yes.
Okay. What about firing?
Left click. So I just use my hand to click. Yeah.
That makes sense. No, that's honestly, I did not know this. And you say anyone can access that.
Yeah. You'd have to buy the tracker, which is like $40, but once you buy that, the software is free.
Because I've got so many friends that would benefit from that.
Yeah, it's on the Natural Point's website. It's just called Track IR. It's a great thing. I like it. And there's a new a new technology that I believe will replace that. That's coming out soon. We just got it into the laboratory. I actually haven't talked to any other journalists about it yet. It's called Beacon, and it's going to be a little tiny box, and you're going to be able to put it on top of your head, your shoulders, your feet, your wrists, wherever you want it, with like a strap, kind of like an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to put it wherever you want, and when you move that body part, it'll do different things, just like I just described. Only you won't need a tracker like I use right now.
That's brilliant.
Yep. But it's not out yet. It won't be out until next year, but it looks really promising.
So because I'm so like confused at this, because you would think also that this kind of technology would be like publicized everywhere, like because it's really cool technology. Like I've not heard about this, and it kind of baffles me a bit, because like I say, you'd think it would be everywhere. You'd think every like news publication or whatever, every it would be everywhere, all over the internet when it comes out, and I've not heard any of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's because there's still a stigma in the world about disabilities, and I know you know this as well as I do. But for your viewers, it's just it's sad. It's something that we're still going to struggle with. Even the stories with Microsoft. All of the stories that came out were about how great Microsoft was for making it, and very few stories about the people that it would help. It was almost. Sometimes some of the interviewers would talk to me like helping an object as opposed to a group of people. Like, oh, this will be great for disabled. It's like, okay, don't ever say that to me again. And it was just kind of frustrating. There was only one journalist who had a disability who interviewed me. I did nearly 90 interviews for Microsoft's launch with us on the Xbox controller, and only one was disabled. And 2 of them had family members who were disabled. Other than that, the other ones were completely able-bodied people, and they barely understood what I was trying to get across. It was all about the technology, not about the people that were getting helped. So to answer your question, I think the reason you don't hear about it is because it's harder to push content for the disabled. I think it's I'm sure doing this channel, it's harder when your focus is on that. Just like the organization that we run. When I walk into an elevator with someone, I have to go, here's my 45-second sales pitch, right? But somebody else from a different charity can walk in and go, yeah, we help troops. Oh, okay, that's it. But I need a full minute to explain what we do. So I think, it's just a society thing.
It's because it's so awesome, that's why.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
To one of my friends, I think it was yesterday, and I was like, you should play PUBG, and everything, and he was like, I can't, because I love to, but I can't, because I can't use mouse and keyboard. I was like, because I really wanted to play with him.
He absolutely could just get a quad stick and use it with his mouth, and then he could play probably better than I can.
So what's a quad stick?
So a quad stick is a device that you put in front of your mouth, and you operate it just like a joystick, and you use your lips to be able to control your character, make it move around. And you can sip and puff into the device to make it shoot or push buttons or anything you need to do.
That is brilliant. And all this technology that you talk about, do you have that in your offices?
Yeah. We have everything. So our office is just outside of Washington, D.C. We have a giant warehouse with offices that have rooms for people to come in, and they get to sit down with one of our accessibility experts and go through all this different technology and see what would be the right fit for them.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, so it's really cool.
How many, what's the range of technology do you have there? One question I had, which I completely forgot about, and I don't know whether I wrote it down here. But I'm guessing the smallest adaptation someone could do would be like we say, button remapping and things. But excluding that and thinking more on technology like adaptions, could you call it adaptions? Adaptions, so like you say, the tracking and things. So what's the smallest technology that you could provide someone to the
Gotcha.
biggest?
So the smallest would be Velcro. So this one always makes people just lose their minds, because there's been times where people will come to us and they'll go, I can't do this because my controller, I can't hold on to it and push the buttons, and I need a new controller, I need something where I can operate it, just put it over here. And it's like, well, did you ever Velcro your controller to a table so it can't move? No. And then you see their eyes light up, and then it's like, yeah, dude, and then you do it, and you just take some Velcro, put it around the straps of the controller, and lock it to a table, and then they're like, I can push all the buttons now. It's like, yeah, I can. Yeah, right? Sometimes people think they like to think like they need all this technology, and you don't. You need a couple pieces of Velcro, and then you're good to go. And then I'd say the highest end is our guys that have quadriplegia. If you're somebody who can only move your eyeballs in your head or your neck, and nothing listens to you when you tell it to move, you need eye gaze, you need a quad stick, you need voice control. You need basically everything we can offer.
I can't believe that now, I think.
Yeah. It's that's the thing about disabilities. They're all over the place, and just because I have SMA and somebody else has SMA, it doesn't mean that we're both going to need the same thing. And that's one of the hardest things to tell the public when they don't understand.
Yeah.
We found this particularly talking to reporters who were able-bodied and had never covered anything to do with disability. They were like, "Oh, well, what do you need to fix fibromyalgia?" It's like, well, it's not a spark plug. We can't just plug something in and it works for everybody. That's not how this works. Yeah. And they're like, well, why not? You could just make this device and it'll help everybody. It's like, that's not how that works. So trying to get people to understand that, in the medical world, you have to be flexible and you have to be able to, help people out where they are. It's hard,
Yeah, I completely understand.